Hello and welcome to the Solid Signal podcast for August 20th, 2013. You know, if I had the money to pay for it, I'd be including that Hey 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 Blurred Lines song on this week's podcast just because it seems like it's everywhere this week. I guess I could tie that in a little bit to the real subject of this week's podcast, but I just kind of wanted to mention it because, you know, it's stuck in my head just like probably stuck in your head too. Now, Blurred Lines may be the song of the week, but the story of the week, at least as far as the Solid Signal podcast is concerned, is the very interesting set of negotiations that took place between Fox and the pay TV providers, DirecTV, Dish, Time Warner Cable, Bright House, several others. It's one of those rare stories with a happy ending. The little guy actually gets what he wants, and the big guys actually made it happen for him. Let me go down through the details for you. Now, unless you've been hiding under a rock, never look at billboards, never watch television, you probably know that Fox launched its new sports channel, Fox Sports 1, and the companion, Fox Sports 2, over this past weekend. It was to be expected. After all, Disney's got a sports channel, NBC has one, CBS has one. I'm not sure that we all need this many sports channels, but hey, that was their decision and that's what they wanted to do. The bad news is that they wanted to charge a ton of money. They were replacing two lower-rated channels, Speed and Fuel TV, and they wanted about a 600% increase in the amount of money they got for these new sports channels compared to the old sports channels. You can argue that there was a lot more interesting content there, but really 600% increase, and let me tell you, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars here. This is not small change regardless of what anybody said. Now, by Wednesday of last week, it was beginning to look like nobody was going to carry this channel. Alright, I shouldn't say nobody. Comcast was going to carry it, Charter was going to carry it. They're not nobodies. But DirecTV, Dish, Time Warner Cable, and Bright House did not have deals in place. Well, this was going to be a problem. Fox spent a lot of money promoting this whole new channel, as you probably noticed. And hey, they were expecting to see people, and also people were just excited that they were going to see their NASCAR and Ultimate Fighting and some of the other stuff that was going to be on these channels. Now, we'll never know for sure because the truth and the contracts will never see the light of day. However, rumors have it that at the last minute, Fox backed down. They said, all right, we'll give you these new channels for the same price as the old channels. And that's a huge win. I mean, seriously, like I said, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars saved. And it also means that the channels debuted on schedule. Nobody missed anything, and we were not treated to another one of those fights that takes place in the media where everybody tells you to go to a website where you can learn about their side of the story. After all, for example, in our Southern California Operations Center, we're bombarded with that already. Why? Well, we have CBS on broadcast, and CBS Radio owns, I think, 4 of the major stations out here, so no matter what you choose to listen to, you're getting that same message over and over again. Tell Time Warner to keep CBS.com. It goes to show that every so often, these content providers can actually have a brain. Something actually makes sense to them. They'd rather get a rational amount of money than no money at all. And maybe they'll have to scale back with some of their ambitious plans for the next couple of years, but on the other hand, it's going to keep us from paying $200 a month just for basic television services. In the meantime, I briefly mentioned that whole dispute between Time Warner and CBS, which is still going on, and that's going to become a bigger and bigger problem if this happens to go into the 3rd or 4th week of September. I mean, we'll be getting into new television shows, we'll be getting into, regular season football, preseason basketball. We'll be getting close to playoff time, World Series time for baseball, which admittedly a lot of that takes place on Fox, but still, it's going to get really nasty if they don't come to some sort of agreement. This may not personally affect you because you probably don't have Time Warner Cable, and, well, not everybody lives in Los Angeles, New York, or Dallas, but it does affect millions and millions of people. Enough to make a real difference with Nielsen ratings. And Nielsen ratings set advertising revenues. That's the bottom line there. We've had one victory for the little guy this week. It's certainly something to think about. How about taking that same thought and applying it to just about every other dispute that's out there? Remember, it's the viewers that pay your bills. That's it for another Solid Signal podcast. If you've got an idea for a future podcast, go ahead and press that Suggest a Topic button at the Solid Signal blog, blog.solidsignal.com. We'll be looking forward to hearing from you. And until next week, have a great one.